Many people who are trying to get their fitness back on track run into the common roadblock of, I don't have enough time. For this roadblock, I have an entire directive that I teach in my book and in my online course. It's called Directive Number 5. You must run your life or life will run you. However, today, I'm going to get into some specifics. I'm going to be sharing with you the very first steps you should be taking in order to get balance back into your life once and for all. Let's dive in. Welcome to episode 28 of the LeRock Show, where I'm here to help you get your fitness back on track at any age and regardless of your current fitness level, so you can spend more quality time with your families, have a brighter outlook on life, and finally find the true joy that life has to offer. I'm your host, LeRock. Welcome back. I hope you're ready today to get some of that balance brought back into your life. I'm pumped to be hanging out with you again today, and I'm so looking forward to sharing today's lesson with you. For those of you listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, thanks for putting me in your ears today, and thanks for your reviews. I really do appreciate it. And if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for tuning in once again this week, as I'm continually blessed that I can share these tips and tricks with you each week that can maybe make a little difference and help you get to where you want to be. And I look forward to your comments each week because it really does help me stay motivated to keep producing this free content so that everyone can benefit from it. Now, at first glance, it's quite obvious that this channel is mainly about weight loss and how to get your health and fitness back. And for those of you that have been hanging out here for a while, you may have come to the understanding that it's about a bit more than that. You see, each week, I share with you my opinion as to why that I believe that the number one thing that impacts whether you are successful in any endeavor in life, including your health and fitness, is when you can get in control of your psychology. In other words, what you think about each day and what you feel each moment has a great effect on the results that you're going to get in life. Now, a huge part and fundamental part of that is something that I call life planning. Now, that's simply a method of planning and scheduling what you do with your valuable time. So this week, I'm going to visit one crucial aspect of that. I'm going to be sharing with you the very first steps for balancing your life and taking back control once and for all. And on top of that, I'm going to be sharing with you some tips that I personally learned that relate to these crucial steps. But before we jump in, if you haven't done so already, please take full advantage and go ahead and download my free Automate Your Plate checklist. I had my own struggles over the years, and I found myself in a state of obesity not only once, but twice. And the last time I was obese, I found a way to get myself out. I ended up creating my very own eating approach, and that eating approach is called Automate Your Plate. And it's an extremely unique eating approach, and that it addresses your psychology first. It also addresses your biology, but it addresses your psychology first. I used Automate Your Plate in order to lose 65 pounds in 13 weeks, and that was more than 15 years ago. It keeps you fueled properly for your workouts, and it won't slow you down. Now, those that have tried it and followed it correctly have had amazing results. So yes, I put together a free step-by-step checklist. It's called the Automate Your Plate checklist. It takes you through one step at a time, step 1, step 2, step 3, and throughout, and shows you exactly how to automate your plate. It takes everything that I teach in my book and in my online course, and it simplifies it all down into a single page cheat sheet. It's super simple and easy to follow. For those of you listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, you can get your own copy by going to ethanlerock.com/automate. That's ethanlerock.com/automate. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link down below and you can get it there. I've personally been using Automate Your Plate for more than 15 years now. I absolutely love it, and that's why I'm sharing it with you today for free. So go ahead and download it. You have absolutely nothing to lose, except for maybe a few pounds. Okay, this week, I'm thinking about those of you out there that just can't seem to get it all together. You may find yourself saying, I just don't have time to start figuring out how to do proper nutrition. I don't have time to figure out what I'm going to do for exercise. I don't have time to do exercise. I don't have time to cook nutritious meals. I just don't have time. Well, what I'm about to share with you today may just highlight that the problem is much worse than you think. However, it also has the power to give you back control over your life, to help you find time for your health and fitness. And not only for your health and fitness either, to help you find overall balance in your entire life. I'm going to get right into it and share with you the very first steps for balancing your life and taking control. So take a moment, grab a pen, a piece of paper, or a journal, and get ready to write some things down. So the very first thing you need to know, you need to understand what the categories are for balancing your life and what priority they should be in. Now, those categories are your health, your relationships, your career, and your finances. Those are the 4 areas you need to have balance in order to live a balanced life. And the exciting thing for you today is that I'm going to go in and I'm going to look closely at each of these 4 categories. I'm going to share with you some of the life lessons that I've learned on how you can find time to find overall balance in all 4 of these categories. But before we go there, step number 2 is you need to understand that once you understand what these categories are, you're going to have to figure out some way to start planning out your personal life. And I've talked to that, I think I've peppered that in through a lot of the episodes that I put out there for free. If you want a little more in-depth education on the subject, you can either read my book or you can sign up for my online course. But really, it's just a matter of learning how to plan your life. Now, as I recall, I think if you go back to episode 16, I kind of got into detail and showed you kind of the rough steps on how to plan your life, how to chunk out your day, how to set goals, and how to establish your long-term goal, but then feed that back into your yearly, monthly, weekly, and daily goals. But that's not what I'm going to be getting in today. Today, I'm going to be sharing with you the very first fundamental steps. And that's going to be going into the 4 categories of balance for your life and giving you some ideas and some perspective on what you should be addressing. So like I said, priority number 1 should be your health. And by that, I mean not only your physical health, but also your mental health and your spiritual health. So when it comes to your physical health, the first thing that I would suggest is that you find time and make time to plan for your nutrition. And by that, I mean strategically. You need to sit down and plan out what you're going to do for your nutrition. Now, you may choose to follow my Automate Your Plate method, the one that I gave away free at the beginning of this episode. And I'll also be giving you a link at the end of the episode in case you missed it. But you should be planning out something for your nutrition. It doesn't have to be my approach, but you should be planning for something. Because if you don't have a plan in place, like I said, if you don't plan time for that, it's not just going to fall in your lap. You need to be in control of what you're eating on a daily basis and then take charge of that. And in relation to that, you need to plan out what you're going to do in order to prepare these meals. When are you going to prepare them? Now, my Automate Your Plate method only takes about 1.5 hours for the entire week, and it saves you about 11 hours of your life each week. But if you decide some other method, maybe you're going to do keto or you're going to be doing fasting or something like that, you just need to figure out how you're going to plan these meals so that they're automatic, so that you're not kind of floundering and saying, oh, okay, I'll just start on this tomorrow because today I screwed up. You really need to have a plan in place and make time for that in your life plan. So after your nutrition, you should be taking some time to plan out what are you going to do for your exercise. There's so many amazing things that you could be doing to keep moving in life, right? To keep yourself busy, keep yourself in motion, to challenge the muscles, to get your cardio up. There's so many things you can plan. But with that, it's kind of a problem, right? Because there's so many things you can do. What you need to do is sit down and spend, I'm telling you, it only takes about 30 minutes to 45 minutes to plan out what you want to do. Determine and decide on something you can focus on and then lock it in. And as a side note, if you plan to work out, like exercise in a gym or at home, then you need to schedule some time to sit down and write out your very own workout plan. And if you look back last week, I kind of spelled out how you can do that yourself. And the next thing you need to do is determine how many days a week you're going to set aside to get some exercise, whatever that exercise might be. And my suggestion would be that no matter what kind of exercise you're going to do, that you keep it to 1 hour max, because that's kind of the magic spot for what works for most people. Usually anything over an hour can start seeming like a lot of work for some people. It can also cause muscle wasting to occur, depends on what you're doing. If you're working out really hard and arduously, like in the gym or doing really intense kind of aerobic workouts or whatever, you can really start wasting muscle, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of working out in the first place. And the last part of your physical is you need to make sure that you're getting plenty of rest on a daily basis. That means every day consistently, between 7 to 10 hours of rest, whatever works for you. Everybody has their magic number. But if you're getting anything less than 7 hours of rest, then you're really hurting yourself. You're setting yourself up, your metabolism gets out of whack, and things don't work right in the body when you don't get enough rest. And also, if you're trying to build muscle, which really should be your goal if you're doing any kind of a fitness regimen, then if you don't get enough rest, then you're not giving enough time for your muscles to grow properly. So now that we've covered the very first part of the first part of your life balance, which is your health, and the physical part of it, we need to talk a little bit about the mental and spiritual part of your health. Now, this is something that a lot of people kind of perceive as being untangible. You can't put your finger on it. You can't see it, but it's very important. It's still just as important as your physical health. And you need to figure out a way to schedule in time to make sure that you're keeping on top of it. And again, it's something you need to put time to, whether it be 10 minutes or 15 minutes a day. But part of that whole life planning thing is you get rid of non-value added things out of your life that you're doing. You know, you chunk out your day and you figure out what you're doing that's waste, like scrolling endlessly on a cell phone or watching television programs or watching sporting events or, online gaming or whatever it might be, sitting like a couch potato on your couch doing nothing. All these things that you do in a day that really are of non-value to you, and you replace those with valuable things. So when it comes to your mental and your spiritual health, what could you do? You could plan out things like meditation in the morning, just 10 to 15 minutes. You could plan out things like I do, like I've talked about in the past, a daily ritual of gratitude, where for 10 minutes straight, you say out loud things that you're thankful for and really connect with them on a spiritual level in your heart, because it sets you off and it sets you in motion to have an amazing day. It changes your perspective on life when you start out with thankfulness. And another thing I suggest for your mental and your spiritual self is to practice daily visualization. It's not a woo-woo thing. It's not like some mystical, mysterious thing. It's a strategic thing that you can do each day to get your mind in the right focus, in the right mindset. Now, for me, what I do is I just visualize something peaceful, something that makes me feel good. And sometimes, back in the day when I was overweight and I was obese, I printed up some pictures of someone similar to me that was in really good shape. And each day, I looked at those pictures and I visualized me being in that shape, that was me. And not only what I would look like, but what it would feel like. What would my life be like once I became that version of me? And what that did is it helped me stay focused. And if you spend just 10 minutes a day doing something like that, and I'm assuming that you're in really bad shape right now and you're looking for a way to lose weight and get your health and fitness back and get some balance in your life. Well, if you start just by visualizing and you have something to assist you, like a picture or something you can look at, then it'll help you get really far with this. It'll help you stay on track and stay focused and have a clear picture of where you want to be. And the clearer the picture is that you have in your mind, the better chances you're going to have of getting to where you want to be. Another real simple idea to help you with your spiritual and mental mindset is to find ways to bring positivity into your life. And in several of my past episodes, I've talked about how you can do that. Positive places, positive people, positive events, positive music, positive self-talk. There's so many different things. But again, it's not just about talking about it in general terms. It's about setting a time each day, setting a period of time in your schedule where you intentionally make time for that, where you put some importance on that, and then you find ways to bring that stuff into your life. I'm telling you, it's life-changing. Another idea to help you enhance your mental and spiritual balance is start a daily practice for either your religion or your spirituality or whatever it is you practice, but do it on a daily basis. And for me, because I'm a Christian, I do some daily prayer. Just some simple prayers. It doesn't have to be overwhelming or time consuming or be this thing that becomes this never ending thing. It can be quick. It can be 10 minutes in the morning or 10 minutes at night or whenever you choose. But just kind of fit it into your day to be something that you do on a daily basis, because it'll help you with this overall balance that I talk about. Okay, so now I think you understand. The number one priority is your health balance, okay? That should be the very first thing that you work on. And there's a reason I say that. If you don't work on your health first, okay, because there are 4 categories for balance in your life. If you don't work on your health first, and you do what most people do, and all they worry about is their career, okay, which is one of the 4 categories. You know, how much money can I make? How much time can I put in at work so that I can make lots of money so I can afford all these things that I bought? Okay, if you don't put your health first, well, guess what? That's like building a house without taking care of the foundation first. The foundation is your health. You know, you have to have strength. This body is all you have to work with. If your body is sick, if you are obese and riddled with all these things that come from insulin resistance, obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety, depression, all these things that are caused from being unhealthy, then how are you supposed to have balance in the other areas of your life? So yes, number 1 is health. The second most important category for finding balance in your life is your relationships. And by that I mean your spouse, your family, and your friends. You need to find time for balance with those as well. Now we're covering a lot of information here, so I hope you're writing some things down. But I'm going to start out with your spouse. If you have a desire in your life to have a partner or spouse in your life, if you don't have one already, then you need to set aside some time to figure out what you're going to do about that. You know, you may have some ideas in your mind of how you can find a partner in life. Maybe it's one of those online apps that you can go on and swipe left and right and try to find the right person in your life. I don't know. But what I suggest to you is that you sit down and write down, what are the key things that I would want in a partner in order to bring them into my life? Sit down and strategically think about that. What are the qualities that you want in your partner? Many people don't take the time to do that. They just jump into relationships without any thought at all. And I'm telling you, it'll make all the difference in the world on the quality of the relationships that you end up having. If you take the time to sit down, I'm telling you, in 45 minutes, you can sit down and save yourself years and years and years of anguish by just writing down some key things that you'd want in a partner. Now, another thing relating to scheduling your life balance is assuming you do have a partner in life or a spouse in life. You need to strategically take some steps in your week in order to plan some time out together. What are you going to do together? And some things that I've learned in life. I've lived a long life. I'm 52 years old, and I've learned some key things when it comes to maintaining a really good relationship. Number 1 is you should have a date night, something that you do together at least once a week, where it's just the two of you, where you just are doing something that rekindles that flame that you had when you first met. And that could be, you know, a night out at the movies. It could be a date night, going out for dinner, going out for a dance or something. Just something romantic that rekindles what you once had and makes sure that it stays alive. Now, this is something you don't really schedule, but you need to take the time and intentionally, on a daily basis, make sure that you are touching your partner. That means holding hands, being close, yes, embracing, kissing, all that great stuff. Because once you get into the habit over time, and a lot of relationships have this problem of not touching, of not making contact, what happens is what you once had, that closeness, becomes a disconnect. And it's very hard to get it back because people form habits and they get comfortable with what they're doing. Doesn't mean you can't correct it. If you have a relationship right now where you're distant, where you're not holding hands, where you're just wishing that this person would come over and just put their arm around you, that this person would just come up to you and plant a nice kiss on your lips or whatever it might be. What I'm suggesting to you is that you be that person. Go to your spouse. Don't worry about the habits that you formed. Don't worry about the void. Fill it. Go to your partner and you be the one that kisses them. Hold their hands. Get a little closer. Whisper in their ear. Give them a little nuzzle. Because I'm telling you, that will improve your relationship. It will come back to you. And it can be what it once was. And with that, talk about the 4 categories that I'm sharing with you today. Right now, I'm just on the second one, but talk about these categories with your spouse so that you can talk through it together. And there will be some compromise that comes along the way. But let them understand where you're coming from, how you want to balance life. And that includes your health and fitness and these other categories, so that they're on the same page as you. So you're not constantly butting heads as you're trying to balance your life. It'll make things so much easier. Another little life tip that you can take, and write this down, but it should be something that's just common sense. It's not something you need to schedule in your life. It's something you need to do. Is never disrespect or deceive your partner in life. I can't say that enough. There are going to be temptations in your life that come your way because life is just like that. But make it a rule to never disrespect your partner in life and never deceive them. And if you live by those 2 little things, your relationship will last a very long time. Okay, now that we've covered the relationship with your spouse or partner, which is the number 1 most important relationship you have, we're going to talk about the relationship you have with your family. You see, many of us, as time goes by, we get very busy in our own little lives. And we don't take enough time or put importance on our families. And we don't even realize what's happening. Eventually, we fall out of touch. We no longer see our families. We no longer see our parents. We may see them once on, at Thanksgiving or Christmas or maybe a birthday or so. But we really fall out of touch. I'm going to talk about how you can bring that balance back into your life because family is very, very important. Now, family means many things. And the very first part of your family, the most important part after your spouse, of course, is your children if you have any. And for this, you need to schedule time on a daily basis to touch base with your kids. And I don't care if it's making a ritual where you all sit down for dinner with no electronic devices at the table. I know it's hard these days, but it can go a long way for your relationship and for their future. Sit down and talk to them. Talk to them about their day. Find out what they're thinking, how they're feeling, how the day went. Have some good discussion with your children. Teach them a lesson each day on what you've learned in life, things that you've learned the hard way. It doesn't have to be, how was today, kids? Oh, today was fine. How was your day? Oh, mine was fine too. Or start whining about something bad that happened at the office. Talk about things that you believe can have a positive impact on your children and give them an overall education on life. I'm telling you, this stuff, not enough people are doing it. They're letting their children just run off and have dinner on the couch as they play their video games or they scroll on their phones or lock themselves in their bedroom. And you know why they do it? Because it's easy. And they feel like they're doing their kids a favor by, giving in to their whims. A little bit of, just be a little bit stronger as a parent and ask your kids for their time. And when your kids say no, be the parent and say, no, we're going to spend a little bit of time just talking. And another key part of that is listen to what your children are saying to you. Take time to listen to their perspective and their feelings. Because if you do this, that is the best way to understand where they're coming from. Your children want to be heard and understood. And if you know that coming into the conversation, you'll be in a much better position to listen, understand, and then you can help them by sharing some advice. So once you have your children taken care of, the next thing is, I suggest to you that you talk to your parents at least once a week. Give your parents a call. 5 minutes is all it takes. Ask them how they've been. If you're like I am, your parents are getting up there in age and they may talk about all their ailments or whatever it might be. But just be there to listen to them, to see what they're going through in life, to stay connected, to be there for those people that gave their lives for you, that raised you, that worked for you every day, that put clothes on your back and fed you and put food in your belly. And be there for those wonderful parents that you have. Because once they're gone, you won't be able to do that. And the next part of your family, of course, is your siblings, your brothers and your sisters. Make time for your brothers and your sisters at least, and I don't know what size family you have, but at least once a month, where you check in, maybe you get together for a dinner, play cards or something, where you're staying connected with your family. Because a lot of people, and there's a reason I'm saying this should all be part of your family balance, is a lot of people just lose touch with their brothers and sisters. Maybe they have an argument that takes place and they blow up and then they don't want to see each other. And things just kind of drift off and years go by. And what you're forgetting is there was a time in your life when you were so close that your brothers and sisters were all you really had. You really knew they had your back. You had each other's back and you learned things together. You had experiences together that you've never had with anyone else. And those are beautiful things to have. And you should really make an effort to keep your relationships with your family members going strong, no matter what happens. And that means that because they are your brothers and sisters, you need to forgive. You need to remember that they are important to you. They are your blood. You need to forgive and forget. Doesn't mean you take their abuse. If they're being abusive to you, like anybody in life, you stand up to them. You be strong in life. You state your mind, but you do it in a caring, empathetic way because they are your family. Again, it's another rule I always share. Don't be disrespectful and don't be deceitful to your family members. Be loving and caring the way you should be, the way you want them to be to you. And the last little tidbit I'd give you when it comes to your family is never lend money to family members and never borrow money from family members, period. If there's somebody that, needs money in your family, then you have a choice to make. You either give that money to them as a gift, okay? Or you don't do anything at all. Never offer to lend money to a family member. It changes the relationship. Your relationship changes like that, from being a family member who you love to being a lender-borrower relationship. And I'm telling you, this is very, very important. This is a life lesson that I've learned. Because what happens is if you lend money to a family member, the minute they come to your house, and if they haven't paid you back, and they start talking about something that they're doing, maybe they're doing something with their house or they're going to go on a trip, the first thing that goes in your mind is, that must be nice. When are you going to pay me? It's an awful thing. It muddies the relationship. So I'm telling you, never lend money to a family member and never borrow money either. Okay, that's enough with that. The third aspect of your relationship balance is your friends. And the very first thing I'll tell you when it comes to your friends is that your spouse and your family come first, period. That should always be something you keep in mind. Now, with that being said, I encourage you to seek out like-minded, positive people that you can hang out with, because you become very much like the people you hang around with. And make sure that no matter what, whatever friends you bring into your life, that they're not codependent type people. People that latch on to you and they want to suck up all your time. They don't care if you're married. They don't care if you are into health and fitness and you want to make time for your life. They don't care about your dreams and desires. They just want to latch on to you and suck up all your time. And it may not be something that you see as negative. Maybe they just want to do positive things with you in their mind, like going out to the bars or going fishing or watching the fights together or whatever it might be, going shopping. and just consuming your time with a whole bunch of non-value added things. You need to be careful about that. And again, just like your family, my rules when it comes to your friends is never disrespect your friends and never deceive your friends, right? It's a common sense thing, right? But a lot of people just don't get it. They'll try to, in a public setting, they'll try to humiliate their friends. They'll poke so many jabs at their friends, easy things that they can poke at. They don't realize they're hurting their friends and they're jeopardizing the relationship. So always be respectful and never lie to your friends. It's just not worth it. And again, just like family, never lend money to your friends or borrow money from your friends for the very same reasons I just described earlier. So the third area, the third category that you need to focus on for balance after your health and your relationships is your career. And unfortunately for most people, the career is the end all be all. It's the very first thing that everyone focuses on. Everybody puts their time on, working overtime so they can afford all the beautiful, shiny things that they've purchased. Not putting any thought into the time that they're losing and taking away from all the other three categories that they also need to focus on. Now I'll get off my soapbox and I'll share with you how you can find some balance for your career. Obviously, the first part of that is you should determine what you want to do for your career. Now, if you're working already and you're already in a career, I still encourage you to sit down and schedule some time. It all comes down to actually scheduling some time. 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour, whatever it might be. And to talk and to think through what you want in life. What do you want for a career? What would be some aspects of the perfect career for you? What would fulfill you in life? Maybe you need to ask yourself, am I happy doing what I'm doing right now? And if not, I'm not telling you to stop doing what you're doing either. What you should do is look inward into yourself. What can you do to change things around for you, to give you a more positive mindset for what you're doing? Is there something that you could change up in your work life that would make things better for you, that would make it so you enjoy things better in your place of work or your business or whatever it is you're doing in life to stay, financially sound? Maybe you stay where you're at and you just create a side project, a side business or whatever it might be, doing something that really fulfills you in here and makes you feel like you're still living your purpose. That could really help you as well, so you don't get so down on what you're doing with your career. And if all that doesn't work, then again, you need to sit down and start strategizing. What kind of career do you want to have in life? And what do you need to do on an educational basis to get you there? What do you need to learn? What characteristics do you need to have in order to do this new thing? Now, maybe you want to start your own business. So what skill sets do you have to have in order to start your own business? It may be that you want to jump to a different career altogether. So what's the education that you need to go into that career? And what would you need to learn? And it all comes down to just starting to find some time to plan it out. Now, all these little things that I'm peppering in today, these different categories and these suggestions, will paint you an entire picture of what you want to do to balance your life. So take the time to do it. And whatever you do, be strategic in what you're listing out. What career do I want to have? What are the qualities that career requires? And where can I get those qualities or education, whatever it might be? And when am I going to start? And it's all just baby steps. You just chunk it on through. Because if you don't do anything about it and you just settle for what you're doing and everything's always on autopilot, how is change ever going to happen in your life? So now we're at the final category for balancing your life. And that is your financial balance. Okay? And this is an area that most people I know fall short in. Most people I know, they just decide that they want to go work at a place, make as much money as they can, even if that includes sacrificing their time working overtime, so that they can buy the biggest house, buy the fanciest car, have the most toys, have the most wonderful things so that they can look good in front of all their neighbors. And guess what? They don't think anything about how they're going to control and manage their finances. It's true. Most people, if you ask them how much they spend per month to live, they would look at you like you have two heads and they would be clueless. So what I suggest to you is that you schedule some time, cross out some of those non-valued things you're doing in the day, at least once a week. Just once a week on the weekend is what I suggest. That's usually when you have more time to think clearly. And list out all your assets, all the things that you own in life. Your house, your car, anything of value, your furniture, and find out what your overall asset values are. And then what I want you to do is also list out all your liabilities, all those things that are sucking money out of your wallet, all the things that are costing you each month. By that I mean, creating a budget. Everything. A budget for everything you do in your life each month. Because that'll give you a really good picture, an overview of where you're at financially. And I want you to take this step. I really do. Because it will give you some balance in your life and some control over your finances as well. Because without knowing where you are at today, without knowing how much money you spend each month, how can you make a really good determination on what career you want to have in life, or how much money you need to make, or how you can get your control of your life back? You see, if you take control of your finances, it gives you this amazing control over your entire life. Because once you get yourself back on track with your finances, and you have money in your bank account, and you're no longer drowning in debt, you no longer have to make decisions in your life that are just solely based on money. They can be based on so much more fulfilling things, like overall value that your career or business has on you as a person, on your overall desires in life in these 4 categories that I've shared. Getting control of your finances, I'm telling you, relates to your health and fitness too. Because once you have control over your finances, right, and you have some balance there, then guess what? All of a sudden you have more time in your life to spend time exercising, planning out your nutrition, and doing all these other things you need to do to get your health and fitness back. So after you understand your overall budget in life, you need to determine the best ways and find ways to keep as much money as you can. Because there's a guy that I followed many, many years ago, and he's an amazing online coach. His name is Dave Ramsey. If you want to learn anything about budgeting and finance, just look up Dave Ramsey. He's got an amazing book. I started out listening to his audiobook, and then I took his, I think it's called Financial University or something like that. He's an amazing man. And the one thing he tells you and he preaches to you, it's not about how much money you make in life. It's about how much money you keep. Another great guy is Robert Kiyosaki. He also preaches very similar methods. He's a little bit different. He's more into the real estate and business and all that stuff. Dave Ramsey's more of a simple guy, teaches you how to do a budget and how to get control over your finances. But it really is about that. So I'm stealing that from him. And I'm not going to make it sound like I'm creating this, because I'm not. It's not about how much money you make. It's how much you keep. And the way you do that is by being an adult, living within your means, and investing properly in life. And part of that is determining the vehicle you want to use to save and grow your money. Having your money working for you. And you may not think you have it within you. You may think that I don't know numbers, or I don't know finances. I really don't know your situation. But a lot of people are there. They don't like the subject of money. They would rather hopefully they're living with some money going into the bank account. But that's about as far as they get. They don't know what to do with it. They don't want to deal with financial planners. They don't know how to invest. Therefore, they just keep on living week to week. And if you do that, it's just like all the other 3 categories in your life. If you don't put some time in there, some balance in there in your life, then what'll happen is it'll suffer. It'll suffer, and something else will take over that time. And with most people, it's distractions. Most people live a life where they're filling most of their time with daily distractions and comfort. Netflix, watching television, scrolling on their phones, online gaming, sitting on the couch doing nothing, and all these other just useless things they do to escape. Escapism is what I call it. And when you know that, with that knowledge that you have in your mind, and you set your goals in life, and you decide that you don't want to be that type of person, your entire life will change. I'm telling you. Now, I know I've shared a lot of information with you today, more than I really planned on sharing with you, but it really isn't that complicated. It's all a matter of finding some balance and knowing what your categories are and putting those categories in the proper priority. Health should be number 1. Your relationships should be number 2. 3 should be your career, how you're going to make money in life. And 4th should be what you're going to do with that money once you make it. It really is that simple. And once you know those categories, start chunking out your day. 7 days a week, take a sheet of paper and write down everything you're doing every 15 minutes throughout the day. From 6:30 to 6:45, I take a shower. I get ready for work. From 6:45 to 7 o'clock, I get my lunches put together and ready for when I go to work. Whatever it might be. I take this amount of time to meditate in the morning. I take this amount of time to feel gratitude in the morning and to verbally make some statements towards gratitude so that I can feel that first thing in the morning. Whatever it might be that you do, okay? And maybe yours is I get on my phone and I check my Facebook and I see how everybody's doing and I like a bunch of pictures. Well, if that's the case, then write it down. Write down all the things you do each day until you get to work. Then after you're done work, do the same thing. Continue on through every 15 minutes until you go to bed at night. And you do that 7 days a week. And then what you do is you draw an X next to anything that is non-value added. All those things that are not getting you any closer to getting your weight loss goals achieved, or your health and fitness, or your relationships, or your career, or your finances. I know I don't talk about those every week, but they're all related. And you put a big red X next to them. And guess what you do next? You fill those slots in, you put a red line through those items, and you replace them with positive, value-added things that will get you more balance in your life. Now, before we go, as I shared earlier, I want you to take full advantage and download my free Automate Your Plate checklist. Again, Automate Your Plate is an eating approach that I developed more than 15 years ago now. I was in a state of obesity in a really bad place, and I created my very own roadmap to get out. I wrote a book about it called Fit Anyway, the 9 Simple Directives to Win at Weight Loss and Change Your Life Forever. I also created an online course called Fit Anyway Academy, where I take the student through all 9 directives. But one of these directives is directive number 3, Automate Your Plate. It's the eating approach that I use. So it helped me to shed 65 pounds in 13 weeks, and that was more than 15 years ago now. I've remained healthy and fit ever since. And I encourage you to try it out, because it might just be the thing that you've been looking for that makes all the difference in your weight loss journey. It's as simple as download it, print it, follow the steps in the checklist, and you'll be well on your way to automating your plate. If you're listening on one of the podcasts, either Apple Podcasts or Spotify or one of the other ones I'm on out there, then just go to ethanlerock.com/automate. That's ethanlerock.com/automate. And if you are watching on YouTube, you can click on the link down below and you can get it there. I'm really interested in your thoughts on this week's episode. I encourage you to share some of your comments on maybe a schedule that you're trying to put together to balance your life. And more importantly, if you run into any roadblocks along the way as you're putting together your schedule, addressing your health, your relationships, your career, and your finances, and you're running into a roadblock where you just can't push through and you can't find a solution to find that time, then share that in the comments. I may just jump in and reply to you directly, or I may make another video in the future that the entire community can benefit from. So I encourage you to do that. I hope today's episode was of some benefit to you, and I truly hope it helps you to create your own plan, to find that balance in your life that you so deserve. I am so glad and thankful that I get to be here each week to coach you from afar. And I'm so excited for the possibilities that are waiting out there for you. Have a blessed day and remainder of the week. Until we meet again, stay healthy, be happy, and live your life with intention every single day.